Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins All World, to another exciting episode where we delve into the fascinating world of rare coins and their incredible value. If you've ever wondered about the hidden gems of American currency, today we've got a coin that will surely catch your attention. We're talking about the 1989 Jefferson nickel, a coin that may look like just another regular 5-cent piece at first glance. But hold on, because there's so much more to this nickel than meets the eye. The 1989 Jefferson nickel might seem like a common coin circulating in your pocket change, but for collectors, it holds a certain intrigue. This coin was minted as part of the long-running Jefferson nickel series, which has been in circulation since 1938. Featuring the portrait of President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his iconic home, Monticello, on the reverse, the design of the Jefferson nickel has been a staple in American currency for decades. But what makes the 1989 nickel so special? Well, it's not just the design that sets it apart. It's the subtle features and potential errors that can make this seemingly mundane coin into something truly extraordinary and incredibly valuable. To start, the 1989 Jefferson nickel is part of a series that includes some unique variations across the years. While 1989 may not have been an especially high production year, the 1989 nickels are still very much sought after by collectors, particularly due to their mint errors and unique characteristics that make them rare and desirable. That's right, errors are often what make a seemingly regular coin worth far more than its face value. Now, let's take a closer look at some of the reasons why this coin has the potential to be worth thousands of dollars. First off, let's talk about the mint marks. A lot of collectors know that mint marks are crucial when it comes to determining a coin's value. The 1989 Jefferson nickel was primarily minted in Philadelphia, but certain special versions were struck at the Denver Mint and San Francisco Mint. These mint marks play an essential role in determining the coin's rarity and worth. As you might expect, coins with San Francisco Mint marks are usually much rarer than their Philadelphia or Denver counterparts. If you happen to stumble upon a 1989 nickel, you might just have a rare find in your hands. But beyond the mint marks, let's dive into the exciting world of error coins, because this is where the real value lies. Some 1989 Jefferson nickels were struck with misalignments, off-center strikes, and even double die errors. These types of minting mistakes are incredibly desirable among collectors, and when you come across a 1989 nickel with one of these errors, the coin can skyrocket in value. A double die error occurs when the coin is struck multiple times, causing the design to appear doubled. The date and the wording on the coin are often the most noticeable features that show this error. This can be a game changer for a collector, as even the slightest hint of a double die error can send the price of a coin soaring. Another interesting aspect of the 1989 Jefferson nickel is the potential for die cracks or cuds. These are imperfections that happen when the coin die itself becomes damaged during production. Die cracks or cuds might not be immediately noticeable, but they can make a huge difference in the coin's value. These errors, while seemingly small, contribute to the uniqueness of the coin, and collectors are always on the lookout for them. The condition of the coin plays a significant role in determining its value. As with all coins, the better the condition, the higher the value. A 1989 Jefferson nickel that is in pristine, uncirculated condition is much more valuable than one that has been in circulation for decades. Look for nickels that have sharp, clear details on Jefferson's portrait and the Monticello building on the reverse. Coins that have been well preserved or stored in protective cases can fetch top prices at auctions. So, let's get down to the real question. How much is a 1989 Jefferson nickel worth? While most 1989 nickels in average circulation are worth their face value of 5 cents, a 1989 nickel with the right combination of rare features, like a double die error, die cracks, or off-center strikes, can easily fetch a small fortune. If you have a 1989 nickel with a rare mint error or one that's in exceptional condition, you might be looking at a coin worth up to $46,000. Yes, you heard that right. $46,000 for a single 1989 Jefferson nickel. That's the kind of value we're talking about when it comes to rare error coins. But, of course, finding one of these elusive gems takes a keen eye, and a little bit of luck doesn't hurt either. the world of coin collecting is full of surprises, and sometimes a simple, unassuming coin like the 1989 Jefferson nickel can turn out to be a hidden treasure. Whether you're just starting your collection or you've been collecting for years, always keep your eyes peeled for those special, rare pieces that can transform a regular coin into something extraordinary. So, if you've got a 1989 Jefferson nickel in your collection, take a closer look. It might just be worth far more than you thought. And if you don't have one yet, keep searching. You never know when you might stumble upon a 1989 nickel with a rare error or mint mark that could be worth a small fortune. Today, we're diving deep into a fascinating piece of American coinage that might be sitting unnoticed in your collection, or even jingling in your old change jar. We're talking about the 1975 Jefferson nickel, a humble 5-cent coin that has captured the attention of collectors and enthusiasts alike. But don't let its everyday appearance fool you. This little coin hides secrets that can turn it into a true treasure. Let's set the stage for a moment. The Jefferson nickel has been a mainstay in U.S. currency since 1938, featuring the profile of Thomas Jefferson, one of America's founding fathers, and the beautiful Monticello on the reverse. It's a coin that's rich in history and loaded with symbolism. But among all the millions minted over the years, some stand out, and the 1975 Jefferson nickel is one of them. Now, you might be wondering, what makes a 1975 nickel so special? After all, millions were struck that year at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Most of them are still out there in circulation today. But here's where it gets exciting: not all nickels are created equal. Some 1975 nickels have rare errors, striking anomalies, and pristine conditions that make them extraordinarily valuable to collectors. Let's talk rarity and errors, because that's where the magic lies. First off, there are the off-center strikes. These occur when the blank planchet is not perfectly aligned in the coin press. Some 1975 nickels were struck off-center by as much as 10% to 50%, making them look partially blank or oddly shaped. These are immediately eye-catching and can dramatically increase the coin's value, especially if the date and Monticello design are still visible. Then we have double die errors, one of the most sought-after types of mint mistakes. In a double die error, the coin is struck twice with a slight misalignment, resulting in a ghost-like doubling of the lettering or image. A 1975 Jefferson nickel with doubling on "In God We Trust" or "Liberty" can turn a regular coin into a jackpot find. Another factor to keep your eyes open for is the full steps designation. If you flip a 1975 nickel and look at the reverse side, at Jefferson's home, Monticello, you'll see a series of steps. Most nickels show wear or incomplete details there. But if your coin shows all 5 or 6 of those steps with crisp clarity, it's referred to as full steps, and collectors pay a serious premium for it. These are often seen in coins that were never circulated or were stored properly for decades. Now let's talk about mint marks. In 1975, nickels were minted in Philadelphia, with no mint mark, and Denver, with a D mark. While both can hold value, it's often the Denver mint coins in uncirculated or high-grade condition that have become more elusive over time. However, there are known examples of overstrikes or RPMs, repunched mint marks, where the D appears to be stamped more than once. These quirks are highly collectible. Another rare feature to look for: die cracks and cuds, tiny raised lines or blobs where the coin die was damaged. They're considered birthmarks of a specific coin, making each one unique. For some collectors, that's like owning a one-of-a-kind piece of art. So how do you spot a valuable 1975 nickel? Start by checking the edges for smoothness or oddities, the letters and numbers for doubling, the mint mark for RPM or missing marks, the steps on Monticello for full clarity, and most importantly, the overall condition. A coin in MS65 condition or higher, that's mint state grade, is where things really heat up. These are coins with no visible wear and beautiful original luster, often found in proof sets or tucked away by sharp-eyed collectors back in the day. But here's the best part. You're probably wondering, okay, so what's the payoff? Well, are you ready? Because an extraordinary specimen of the 1975 Jefferson nickel, with the right error and preserved in high-grade condition, has been valued at a jaw-dropping $49,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. $49,000 for a coin that most people wouldn't think twice about if they found it on the sidewalk. So next time you're sifting through your pocket change or flipping through an old coin collection, don't overlook the nickels. That plain-looking 1975 Jefferson nickel could be a rare and valuable treasure in disguise. If you found this video helpful or inspiring, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on that bell notification so you never miss a deep dive into the hidden gems of the coin collecting world. And hey, if you've got a cool coin find or a story to tell about a nickel that surprised you, drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear what treasures you've discovered. Today's video is about something small in size but massive in history and hidden value. We're talking about a coin that millions of Americans have held in their hands, maybe even passed through your own pocket without a second thought. Yes, we're diving into the world of the 1964 Jefferson nickel, one of the most fascinating and surprising coins in U.S. numismatic history. At first glance, it might just seem like an ordinary 5-cent piece. But if you stick around, you'll find out why this common coin could actually be worth a small fortune, and why collectors everywhere are searching for it like buried treasure. Let's start with a little background. The Jefferson nickel was first minted in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, and it's still in production today. The obverse features the profile of Thomas Jefferson, designed by Felix Schlag, and the reverse showcases Jefferson's famous home, Monticello. Now, 1964 was a huge year for coin production. In fact, it holds the record for the highest number of nickels ever minted in a single year, more than 2.8 billion coins struck between the Philadelphia and Denver mints. But here's the twist: even with all those coins flooding the market, certain 1964 nickels are extremely valuable, and not because of what you see, but because of what most people don't see. So what makes a 1964 Jefferson nickel potentially worth thousands? Let's talk rarity and errors, because that's where the treasure truly lies. Point one: of the most valuable features a 1964 nickel can have is the full steps designation. These are nickels with a reverse side so crisp, so perfectly struck, that all 5 or 6 steps leading up to Monticello are clearly visible with no breaks or smudges. Coins with full steps are incredibly rare from this year, especially in high grades, due to the worn-out dies and rushed production that year. If you find one with full steps, especially from the Denver mint, it could be a jackpot. Then we move on to die varieties and mint errors, the holy grail for many collectors. Point one: rare error is the D/D repunched mint mark, also known as RPM. This is when the D mint mark for Denver was stamped more than once in a slightly different position, creating a ghost-like doubling that collectors love. It's a small detail, but trust me, it adds a huge boost to the value. You should also watch for double die obverse errors. This occurs when the die itself was engraved with a doubled image, causing the coin to have doubled features in words like Liberty, In God We Trust, or even the date, 1964. These coins are rare, and when found in high grade, they're worth serious money. Next on the list, off-center strikes. Some 1964 nickels were misaligned in the press, causing the image to be shifted or partially missing. These dramatic-looking errors are striking, pun intended, and can command a premium, especially if the date is still fully visible. Now, let's not forget about planchet errors. Some nickels from 1964 were struck on the wrong metal blanks, like those intended for foreign coins or leftover silver planchets. These ultra-rare errors are often discovered by accident and can fetch astounding prices at auction. And finally, condition is everything. A 1964 Jefferson nickel in MS66 or higher grade is rare. Combine that with any of the errors we just talked about, and you're looking at a coin that collectors will fight over. These coins aren't just pocket change, they're investment pieces. So here's the big question: if you come across a 1964 Jefferson nickel with the right error, perfect full steps, and high mint state condition, what could it be worth? Well, here's the number that will make any collector's heart skip a beat. A rare, high-grade, error variant 1964 Jefferson nickel has sold for an astonishing $53,000. Yes, you heard that right. $53,000 for a 5-cent coin, and this isn't just a myth or urban legend. These kinds of coins are sold at major auctions, certified by professional grading services like PCGS and NGC, and sought after by elite collectors. So what are you waiting for? Go grab your coin jar, dig into that old shoebox of coins, and look carefully at every 1964 nickel you can find. You never know what treasure might be hiding in plain sight. Today, we're shining a spotlight on a coin that's often overlooked, one that's likely passed through vending machines, cash registers, and your own pockets without a second thought. Yes, we're talking about the Jefferson nickel from 1985, a 5-cent coin that many think is just regular currency, until you realize that a rare version of this very coin has fetched tens of thousands of dollars at auction. So grab your coin jars and get ready, because this might just be the video that turns 5 cents into a fortune. Let's rewind the clock a bit to set the stage. The Jefferson nickel was introduced in 1938, and it's been an iconic part of U.S. coinage ever since. The obverse features a left-facing profile of Thomas Jefferson, designed by Felix Schlag, while the reverse showcases his historic Virginia estate, Monticello. While the basic design remained the same for decades, each year came with its own subtle variations, changes in minting conditions, and in some cases, incredibly rare minting errors. The 1985 Jefferson nickel was minted at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Now here's the kicker: 1985 wasn't a special year at face value. It didn't mark an anniversary. There were no metal composition changes. And yet, a few select coins from this year have become the stuff of legend in numismatic circles. Why? Because of a combination of mint errors, die varieties, and extremely high condition grades that make some of these nickels incredibly valuable. Let's break it down. First up, we have the ultra-desirable full steps designation. This term refers to the staircase on the Monticello building on the reverse side. If your 1985 nickel shows all 5 or 6 steps with clear definition and no interruptions, you're holding something special. Why? Because most 1985 nickels were struck with worn dies, meaning the steps came out blurry or completely flattened. A perfect full step strike in a high grade like MS66 or MS67 is very rare. Now, let's talk errors. These are what really get collectors excited. One of the most fascinating and valuable errors found on some 1985 Jefferson nickels is the off-center strike. This is where the coin was not properly centered in the minting press, resulting in part of the design being pushed off the edge of the coin. Some of these off-center strikes show 10%, 20%, even 50% misalignment. The more dramatic the error, and if the date is still fully visible, the higher the value. Then there are clipped planchets. This occurs when a portion of the metal blank was improperly cut, leaving a crescent-shaped missing section on the edge of the coin. Combine that with a clear date and mint mark, and you've got a collector's dream. Let's not forget about the elusive double die obverse. This error means that the coin was struck by a die that had a slightly doubled image, causing letters like Liberty or the motto, "In God We Trust," to appear slightly doubled under magnification. These errors often go unnoticed by the untrained eye but can mean serious cash for collectors. Another extremely rare occurrence is a wrong planchet strike, where a Jefferson nickel is accidentally struck on a planchet meant for another denomination or even a foreign coin. These errors are incredibly rare and often discovered completely by accident. And now we get to the most exciting part, the value. If you come across a 1985 Jefferson nickel with full steps, in mint state 67 condition, or one with dramatic errors like a clean double die, a strong off-center strike, or a wrong planchet strike, it's no longer just a nickel. You could be holding onto a coin worth a life-changing amount. So just how much are we talking? A rare and pristine 1985 Jefferson nickel, featuring full steps, graded at the highest level, or with one of the key mint errors we discussed, has sold for a jaw-dropping $46,000 at auction. Yes, $46,000 for a coin that many people toss into a fountain or leave under their car seat. So here's your mission: go through your coin collection. Look closely at every 1985 Jefferson nickel you find. Inspect the steps on Monticello, examine the strike, check for errors, and if you think you've got something rare, get it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC, because that 5-cent coin might just be your ticket to the big leagues of coin collecting. Today, we're diving into one of the most surprising hidden gems in American pocket change. Let's talk about a coin that most people completely overlook, the 1987 Jefferson nickel. That's right, just a plain old 5-cent coin, right? Well, not quite. Because in the world of numismatics, nothing is ever just a coin. Especially when that coin could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. So grab your coin jar, because this story might just change the way you look at your nickels forever. Let's start with the basics. The Jefferson nickel has been a part of American coinage since 1938. It features Thomas Jefferson's left-facing profile on the front, and his home, Monticello, on the reverse. The design may look simple, but what lies beneath it is anything but. Now fast forward to 1987. At first glance, nothing about this year screams rare. There were no major design changes, no precious metal content, no anniversary or commemorative events. But as collectors have come to learn, 1987 brought with it some extraordinary errors and varieties that turned a simple 5-cent coin into a collector's jackpot. Let's break it down. First, we have to talk about minting errors. These are the quirks and flaws that happen during the coin's production, mistakes that somehow slip past the U.S. Mint's quality control and end up in circulation. For most coins, errors decrease value. But for rare coins like this, they can skyrocket the price point. One of the most desirable errors found in some 1987 Jefferson nickels is the off-center strike. These occur when the blank planchet isn't properly aligned in the coin press. The result? Part of the design is missing, and the rest is pushed to one side. If the date is still fully visible, collectors go wild for these. Another valuable error is the double die. This happens when the coin is struck twice with a slightly misaligned die, creating a ghosted or shadow-like appearance on letters and numbers. On a 1987 Jefferson nickel, if you see doubling on "In God We Trust" or "Liberty," don't just shrug it off. This could be your ticket to a serious payday. There's also the elusive wrong planchet error, when a Jefferson nickel is accidentally struck on a planchet meant for a dime, penny, or even a foreign coin. These coins are incredibly rare and often discovered by accident, but errors aren't the only thing that make the 1987 Jefferson nickel special. Let's talk about full steps, a small detail that makes a huge difference. If you flip the coin over and look at Monticello, focus on the steps at the front of the building. If you can clearly count 5 or 6 full, uninterrupted steps, you've got a coin with what collectors call a full steps designation. These are very rare for 1987, because the dies used that year were often worn or poorly struck. Coins with full steps in high mint state grades, like MS-66 or higher, are especially prized. And if you find one that also has a mint error? Jackpot. Now, let's add in another ingredient to the recipe for rarity: condition. The truth is, most nickels from 1987 look beat up today. They've been tossed into vending machines, fallen between couch cushions, rattled around in pockets, and suffered the wear and tear of daily use. But if you somehow have a 1987 Jefferson nickel that's in pristine condition, no scratches, full luster, sharp strike, and zero damage, it's not just a coin. It's a piece of American minting history. So here's the million-dollar question: just how much can a rare 1987 Jefferson nickel actually be worth? Let's say you've got the dream combination: a 1987 nickel with a dramatic mint error, full steps, and a high mint state grade from a grading service like PCGS or NGC. It may look like pocket change to most, but in the hands of a serious collector or at the right coin auction, that tiny 5-cent coin can command an unbelievable price. Are you ready for it? One such rare 1987 Jefferson nickel, featuring pristine full steps detail, a visible die error, and certified in superb condition, sold for an astonishing $48,400. Yes, you heard that right. $48,400 for a single Jefferson nickel. So before you toss that handful of change on your dresser, look a little closer. There could be a fortune hiding in plain sight. And if you find something that looks off, unusual, or just too perfect, get it checked. You might be holding a coin worth more than your car, or even your house. If this blew your mind, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we're always uncovering the hidden treasures in everyday coins. And if you've got a 1987 Jefferson nickel you think might be valuable, drop a comment below and share your discovery. Who knows? Your coin could be featured in our next video. Until then, happy collecting, stay curious, and remember, sometimes, the smallest coins carry the biggest surprises.